Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Decisions Lunch and Learn. I'm going to be your host on this Tuesday, August the 19th. This is Gregory Goldston from the training team. Let's go over our stuff on the right-hand side here. We have our Decisions Training YouTube channel. Highly recommend giving that a look. You're going to see a lot of different videos there that are going to give you tips and tricks on how to use decisions, go over different steps, go over different modules, all that sort of fun stuff. So highly recommend taking a look there. I think one of our newest uploads involves the reducing of redundancy inside of the platform to help design more efficient processes and workflows, as well as how calculated columns can affect decisions as well when used correctly versus incorrectly, and also how to use the post-to-flow handler, which is going to be your primary way to take in file data into the decisions platform from an external API call. Below that, we have our Decision Solutions Marketplace. This is going to be a location where you can pull in different projects into your environment to test them out, or to utilize them, or to utilize parts of them. Basically, they're just a bunch of free projects that you can pull in, take apart as you need, utilize as you need, and it's going to contain a lot of different kinds of variety on that site. We have some AI modules like the Fuzzy Finder project, we have the Loan Calculator project, and many more. So highly recommend taking a look there. The last thing on our right side there is the Decisions Product Roadmap Review. This is going to be a series of meetings that you can sign up for at decisions.com/events that allows you to see what's coming down the pipeline inside of the Decisions product. So, highly recommend taking a look there or signing up for those if you want to participate in some of those reviews in which we are showcasing new features to come. All right. So I think it's time to go over to my decisions environment now and start addressing your questions that you have. So I'm going to swap over. Give me just a moment while I do that. Share my other screen over here. And ta-da. All right. You all should be able to see Tuesday LNL inside of my decisions environment. Feel free to post your questions now. I'm pulling up the QA. I'm pulling up the attendance. This is going to help me see what you guys are asking and assist with any questions that you may have. All right. While I'm waiting on questions, let me showcase some stuff. We're in Decisions version 9.14 right now, okay? This was released yesterday, and it does have quite a few new features, mainly to do with reports and advanced data grids. The first one I'm going to show you over here while I'm waiting on questions is going to be the custom icons report. Okay. You know what? Should probably actually make that a report. That would help. Custom icons report. There we go. All right. So custom icons report has been added. And then we can have a source here. However, before we finish demoing this, it looks like we actually have a question, which is trying to convert data pair output to a list. Mark, I'm going to allow you to talk so we can discuss this a little bit further.
Yeah, it's reasonably complicated, so better easier to discuss. Yeah, so I'm calling a subflow dynamically using the flow ID, and the only thing that you get from that is a data pair
The only thing you get from that is a data
as
pair.
a return.
Okay, gotcha. So you're calling a subflow dynamically. You'll have a main flow. I'll have a run subflow here. Let's pick or create one as just a template real quick. We'll create a new one, flow data pair. Okay, sounds good. And then this will do something right here, and then it's outputting. You said data pair over here,
Well,
correct?
no, so the actual routines always return a string list. But when you call the subflow dynamically, the only option it gives you is a data pair. You'll see it when you
Okay, what object am I setting this to then?
string and
String,
list.
list.
Yeah.
All right, this will be my,
whatever you
I'll
want to.
call it test data, just
Yeah.
something simple.
Yep.
Test data, save that, save that. That's our output now. That's fine. It's a list of strings. I'll make it a constant real quick.
Right. Right.
Okay, that's fine. Save that. That's our output, not a problem. Let me grab something over here real quick.
Need the flow ID. Yep.
There we go. Yep. All right. Pass that over here, and then we'll go to advanced, runtime selection,
Yep.
target ID. I'll set it as a constant for now. It doesn't really,
Right.
matter. All right. And you're saying when you run this, even when you set this as a list of string, the only thing you get is a data pair?
Correct.
Okay, let's debug this real quick and see what we're getting. Okay, I see test data. I
Yep.
see different
So that's the data pair.
indexes.
Yeah.
These are indexes for the list.
Right. But test data is a data pair.
It's
If
not.
you let me see, how did I determine this? Oh, give me a second.
Yep, no rush.
I will look at my uh yeah,
Oh, I was just curious what version of decisions you're on.
it's 8, not 9.
Version 8.
Yeah,
Do you know which version of 8? Click up here, about. It'll tell you right here.
give me a sec.
Mm-hmm.
About it's 8.22.
822. Okay, you're on the newest version of 8.
Yeah,
Got it. All
yeah.
right. Okay, so you're on version 822, passing in a date, you're passing in a string, and you're getting out a data pair here?
Yeah, and I also had got a warning about it. It really behaved weirdly when I first set it up. It wouldn't give me an outcome at all. Like wouldn't let it didn't have a done arrow at all. And what I had to do was change it to not dynamically call it, but just, temporarily change it to call this subflow. And then that gave me a done. And then I changed it back to call dynamically. So,
I have
yeah,
a question. Your
yeah.
edit target, this is always going to be kind of your template. Does your target output a list of strings? Your-
Uh, so give me a second.
Yep, no rush. Because if
It,
that's not outputting data, that could be your problem.
let me, where is Okay, so if I go into so you're on the subflow.
I'm not in the subflow. I'm in the main flow right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, but
Yep.
clicking on the subflow and then
Advanced, and then I click edit target right here. Even though it's runtime selection, I'm clicking edit target.
I don't have that button.
You don't have edit target on runtime
Yeah,
selection?
right.
That's
Oh, wait a minute.
interesting.
It says pick or create target.
Oh, so you don't have a target. Oh, okay. That makes sense. So it's looking for that to try and set a basis for what the output should be of your subflows. If you don't have that, it doesn't know what data to put out. Yeah, so pick or create target. You can just drag and you can literally just go in here and just drag like I did and then set an output. It doesn't even have to have a value in it. Just make sure that the output is of the type you want.
Um,
This is now inside of the subflow.
okay, but I remember I'm calling it dynamically.
Correct. You are calling it dynamically, but this subflow, this out here, right here,
Yep.
this needs to know what kind of template it's looking for.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's why you have a target. This is not going to be selected at runtime unless you tell it
uh,
to, but it's going to allow it to understand, okay, when I'm calling a subflow, I'm expecting a list of strings as
this
my
type.
output.
I wondered. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So
So it
that
doesn't
targets.
matter what's in there, is what you're saying, as long as you have an output that matches the same type of output.
There's one exception to that rule, and that is if you run a form inside of your subflow, something
Yep.
that puts the flow into a pause state, your
Yep.
edit target has to have some form of some sort of form as well. It can be a dummy
Okay.
form that no one will see, but it
Yep.
has to have that mimic that same
Similar.
behavior.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Try
Cool.
that. Let me
Yep.
know if that fixes what you're talking about.
Excellent. I can do it while you continue.
Cool, cool. Yep, no rush on that. While that is being assessed, I'm actually going to continue demoing that new 914. Where did that report go? There you are. Okay. I'm creating an account data source here. This is a default data source you'll find in a decisions environment. At least I know it's at least in version 6 and up. I mean, I don't know a lot about version 5, I'll be honest, but yeah, for most of the decisions versions, that'll work. So let's pick email address, created on date, created by, and then give it a few Booleans as well, like is active. We have a few true and falses. And where is the other one I want? User type. That's a great one. Okay. So this is just a standard report with some standard fields. We have a new calculated column. This is both for advanced data grids and for the report designer called the custom icons field. When you click on this, it's going to take you to this dialog screen, and you're going to have a little plus button for icons. Okay. This is going to allow you to add multiple icons in a singular column that can be dynamically changed based upon the data that is inside of your report. So for example, let's say that I want to do a user type column, okay? By default, I'm going to set it to, I think there's kind of like a semi-machine one. We'll do this one. Make it kind of a darker gray, charcoal right there. And then you can add a tooltip to it as well, which means when you hover over it, what it says. The tooltip is going to say machine. You can enable a conditional icon now that it can change to when certain conditions are met. So you can only select from columns that you have currently added to your report. However, you do have the ability to hide columns from the user. Therefore, if you have columns on here that you don't actually want to display, you can always just add them and hide them. I'm going to go by user type. And here's a condition that needs to be met. If the user type equals person, and I'm going to say equals without case, then the icon that will be displayed instead will be of a person. Let's make it a business user. Let's give them a nice, powerful, red-looking tie and stuff. And then the tooltip is going to be person right here. We'll hit OK and hit OK. Now, I'm going to change the title on this to call this indicators. You can call icons indicators. I just want to show what this does over here. And then I'm going to hit OK. So now this is going to display a machine whenever it notices that the user type is a machine, and a person whenever the user type is a person. Now I can hide this user type, like I mentioned, and it still functions, which means that you don't have to have all those Boolean columns displayed to the user, and rather have other icon indicators that can convey the same information in a more convenient format. I can do the same thing for the what is it here? The email address, right? This is one that I did where the domain contains decisions. And if so, it has decisions in it. So I'm going to go back to this indicators. I'm going to add yet another icon into it. And this is going to be decisions domain. That's what I'm going to call this. The default icon, I don't know if I can set this to null, if I recall correctly. I don't think that's been implemented currently, but I can set this to a square real quick, just kind of a black square. That's what I'm looking for right there. And I'm going to enable a conditional icon. And that's going to be on the email address. My condition is that if it contains the value decisions in it without case, then I'm going to display a black decisions icon instead. And the tooltip is going to say decisions user. I'll hit OK. And then the tooltip is just going to say for this one, non-decisions user. Now we hit OK and look at this. I can hover over these. I have these little tooltips over it, and I can see which users are going to be decisions users and which of the accounts are machines or people. So you can put all this information and more inside of one singular column. It's a pretty handy tool that's just been added in version 9.14. All right, Mark, how is that coming along?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh yeah, that fixed it.
That fixed it? Oh, fantastic. Glad to hear it.
Thank you so much. I was racking my brains over that.
Yeah, no worries. In fact, you don't even need to output it as a list. You could output it as a, default type as well. If you're trying to just convert it to an object, you can do that from your subflow, depending on your logic. I don't know what your whole thing looks like, but glad to hear that it functions.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, and with that, it looks like we have another question from Alexander. Hello, I need a form that has two pieces. It takes in a single line message, runs a flow in the background, passing that data to the active form flow, then spits out the response, a continual string, on a new line as the user writes submit info. Also, I'd want to clear out the text input. Alex, I'll unmute you so that we can kind of review those conditions together here. So you're talking about a form here. We're going to create a new form, and we will call it info form. Let's do that. You should be unmuted, by the way, so we can talk
Yep.
through this. What are you
Can you
looking
hear me?
for? Yes, I can.
Awesome. So it should really just have two pieces. At the bottom, it should have the text input, the single line, and at the top, it'll have the output of basically the flow. And I'd want that output to be continuously stacking, right? So that way they can see the response. And then after it sends it in, I would also want the input to be cleared. Um, so it's very straightforward. Also, I'd want it to run on an enter, not a button. That's the other
On an
piece.
enter, not a button. That's fine.
Mhm.
That's fine. This is just an outcome button. That's not what
Okay.
I'm. Yeah. So hold on. You got a text box down here.
Yes.
We're gonna call this our info box. Okay.
Yep.
And this is sourced from what?
It's there's a subflow in the background that I need to pass a string to. And then it'll pass me an output that I'd like to present there.
Okay. So this, as soon as the user opens the form, that is going to pass information into this
Oh
from a
no.
subflow.
No. There won't be it'll only do it once the user there'll be another text box, a single line text box at the bottom. Or on the right side. And they would input there the information. And then when they press enter, it would then run and then display the output of that flow in the other box.
I see. So when someone hits enter on this, you
Mhm.
run a process, and then that process passes in data here.
Correct.
Okay.
Also, as they press enter or they keep doing it, I'd want it to be a running kind of string. So, this starts on a new line showing that information. So to kind of keep a record of it almost.
Oh, I see. So when they hit enter here, it passes to
Yes.
something here. When they hit enter again, you want it to pass in and everything below it.
Yeah. Yep. Like,
Okay.
so it'd be a running like string, if you will.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. This is going to be a tad more complex, but this is definitely doable. There are a few ways that you can do this. The first one is what you're talking about right here, except we're going to delete the single line and we're going to use a multi-line text box instead. All right, so I'm going to call
Yep.
this results. All right, that's one way we can do it. This gets entered. It fetches results, right? If results is
Yep.
no, it's going to add it to a string on this. I'll show you exactly what this looks like real quick. So I'm going to make a calculator, basically. I'm assuming you're making some sort of API call or database call in that subflow, or how are you getting the information?
How am I? Well, the user would just put it in like they would know what to put in, right? They know what they're gonna like type in. It could be as simple as passing the word apple and then having it go through a subflow that passes the word apple out again. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. You're not actually processing the data. You're just
No.
putting it over to the left.
Yeah, the processing happens all in a subflow that will do all that processing work, right? So
Okay.
all I need to do is just make sure I provide a string for it
Okay. This will run
and
on
then
enter.
capture that input.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. So input info, this is going to be enter, and this is going to be populate results. Now, I'm going to show you two different ways to do this, all right? This one's the
Okay.
simple way. There's another one that's more complex, but it might give you a closer to the UI that you're looking for.
Mhm.
So I'm going to edit this. This is going to be able to first get whatever the control value is, all right? So we're going to nab that control value from our input info text box, and that passes in our value. I will call this the input value, just so it's easier to follow through the flow. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to use a join strings, okay, with special character. Here's what we're going to do. Our separator is going to be a line break, and our source is going to be build array. All right. Source number one will come from whatever is already put inside of that results text box area, which will be this value right here.
Mhm.
Item number two is going to be whatever is in our get control value, right? So form data, oh, sorry, not form data, input value, that's what we grabbed from that. And now we'll use a set control value. And this is going to pass info into that results area. It's going to look for a string. This is going to join them with special character, so it's all one string. We don't have to pull items from a list. Pass that out. Done. Save. Save. Exit. Hit OK. Exit. Save. And now we just got to get a flow to run this. All right. Oop, show form. Ignore. Ignore. He's not going to have anything at the default. Okay. These are both running. So I'm going to say car, enter. Let's see what happened. Line break, source, 1, 2, separated, line break. Input value, did not work. Did not get what I was looking for. Hello. Form control, component, path, done, value. Input info text box. Let's try. Ah, here we go. Now it populated. I'm not sure what happened. Okay. Let's do another one. So I'll clear this right here. And then, oh, that's when they enter the form. I'll have to do another trigger on it. It just doesn't like the trigger over here. That's all it is. All right. So we'll fix the trigger. And now you see every time I click into this, it's adding it on this left side. In order for us to actually get that to work properly, we just need to change the trigger over here. Okay. That's a very simple fix.
So you're doing join strings, and then what did you put for the separator?
I did join strings with special character. That's a
Oh,
specific
special
step that I
character.
used. And then I used a constant for that special character, and it allows you to choose between line break and tab.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Let's see. Value changed. Stop type. Let me do stop typing on this and see if we can get that with an enter or an exit over here. This is going to get a little bit closer to the trigger that we're looking for. So I'll say car just got added, van just got added, truck just got added, right? I think the only thing that we need to fix on this is the trigger, which is going to actually input that information a little bit more smoothly. Because right now I have it set to stop typing. So the moment I stop typing, it's actually going to just add it. So that needs to be fixed, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a trigger problem.
Also,
That's
the
fine.
source it's expecting a list of string. Are you passing just the, oh wait, you said you build array. Never mind.
That's right, build array, and I pass in whatever. Here, I'll go back into that real quick so you can see what's going on here. I passed in whatever is inside of the results value area already, so that way it takes whatever value was already in that results area and it joins it with the new value. Now, this is nice for passing it all inside of one text box, right? However, if you're looking to kind of have like another little box get added every time you add such a value, you might want to consider something called a user control. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about these. User-defined control. No, that's not what it's called. No, it is. It is. Okay. So a user-defined control is kind of like a mini form in a way that has its own inputs that you can pass into it and allow you to put in more options than just a single type of item. You can think of it as like a form inside of a form. It's similar to the data repeater in a way, except you can control the adding of removal of multiple different types of data types. Mixed repeater, that's what I'm looking for. You have a mixed repeater and you can pass in user controls inside of that. There is a fantastic project on this already. Let me find it in our documentation. I'll just download it. I can even link that page in the chat over here once I find it real quick. Give me just a moment. It's in our resources. I think this is it. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Let me download this, and then we are going to import it inside of our environment real quick, just so you can see what this looks like. And then let me just drag over that file real quick. There we go. Give me a moment. We'll import this. This won't take very long, because this may have more of the functionality that you are looking for. Now you can change the trigger. This one is triggered on a button. I should say that ahead of time. But again, it runs on active form flow, so you can change the trigger on it. Okay, let's look inside of here. Let me go back and forth inside of it and see if that updates it. Where did it go? Run me. Here we go. Okay. So what this allows me to do is add those text elements that we're talking about, right? I can start putting stuff over here and starts adding it. Now, what this is actually doing is adding certain controls inside of it. You can add just labels for those informational pieces, or you can add controls like this that allow you to type in other information. I can choose to add a drop-down element called that as well when I'm doing this. And then if I want to specify what's in the drop-down element, I can add that over here at the start. So add to list. Add to list. Add to list. There we go. Oh my gosh. There. And now when I add this over here, I get all those options that I specified, right? So this is creating kind of like a drop-down list like you're talking about. I would highly recommend taking a look at this project because what it uses is a mixed type repeater on this side. And you can just choose to add labels every time, but this would allow you to store those in a more customizable way than trying to format them inside of a single multi-line text box. So I'm going to actually include the link for how this project is found, as well as its utilization in the chat right now. Let me grab that. And then
I see what you're going for here. I think the first thing you gave me is exactly what I needed. This one is only because the text they're typing is they're doing work here, right? And so I don't need to really record or like save it or pass it anywhere else. I just need to make sure that it's passing back a value that they can see to make sure that they know that, hey, this went through, you know?
okay, I
So
gotcha.
it's almost like a work desk for them.
Okay, I gotcha. I'll still put in the chat for anyone else that's curious who's in this meeting. But yeah, I gotcha. Cool. I'm glad to hear that that's what you're looking
But
for.
yeah, but you nailed it. Like, I mean, that I spent like an hour looking at this thing, and then I realized the joins like you did was perfect. The only issue I'm having now with it is that when I type in and I press enter, um, it doesn't immediately get rid of the text box, right? And so you
Yeah.
press enter multiple times and then, you know what I mean, make it run multiple times, which I'm, you know,
Let me explain something on the
sure.
trigger and why it's not running the way that you're expecting it to. What did we call it? Run input form. That's what it is right here. I'll show you why. The enter trigger, let me delete these.
Hmm.
The enter trigger does not mean when you hit enter. The enter trigger means when you actually enter the text box, it kicks it off.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, so that's why it's not adding it. Let's say instead you set this to clear. That might be the closest thing we're looking for here, and I'll show you why. So let's save this.
Hmm.
Let's debug it. All right, I'm gonna put car, right? And then the moment I clear this, oh, well, it's not adding car now because when I clear it, the value is actually blank. Oh, that's fun. Okay. We got to find the proper trigger for this. That's the biggest part of this is how do
So
we kick
I'm
off
actually
that
using
process?
the key triggers. Like I know I've used the DocBot and DocBot recommended to use uh the triggers inside the text box. So I'm using a key trigger right now that says run active form flow on enter. But you're saying, but that's a shortcut key, so that should work on enter, right?
Key triggers right here, shortcut key
Yeah.
trigger type is run active form flow, and then we
Mhm.
run populate results, and then that's on the enter. Okay, let's try that. Let's see if that works. Hold on. I'm going to uncheck this, hit OK. Let's save it, exit. Let's give this a try. There we go. And then,
But the thing is,
yep,
if you
that's
click it
exact.
multiple times, it'll if you like just click it in quick succession, it'll just kind of keep pacing until it can clear, I believe. And that's the issue. I don't want that.
Do you want it to clear this control?
Yeah, I wanted to clear as soon as you press enter. I want it done.
Oh, that's easy. You just add one more step to your active form flow that clears it out after everything's been mapped. That's all you need to do.
Oh, I added one. I'm saying like it clears, but it takes a minute to kind of, you know.
So after set control value, I'm going to use another set control value. Form data, info, and we'll set it to null. Let's debug this now. That clears it immediately.
Okay, so you're doing set control value to null.
Yep. So it's just setting this to empty, right? When I'm doing that. It's in the same active form flow. It's not kicking off another one. It's in the exact same process.
Mhm.
And I added it at the very end after all my processing has been done. It clears the original one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yep, it's exactly what I'm looking for.
Cool. Glad to
That
hear
is
it.
everything. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Mark, you got another question. Let's read this one and see what we got. Hold on, let me just exit out of this real quick. Save it. Cool. All right. You have one more problem. You're using rename in the output of the subflow, but it's not what the data is called as it comes out. Okay, you should still be able to talk, by the way. So let me
Yeah.
go back to your example here.
Yeah, so
You're using change
yep,
value on this.
nope,
Oh, you know,
nope,
you're using rename. Using rename.
rename. And then it's that data is going into a list map.
List mapping step. Okay.
Yeah.
Like this.
And so I am using the name that, if you go select from flow,
Okay.
so whatever you called it, yeah. Um, but I get no data coming through because the actual flow that it's running has a different name returning. Do they need to match?
They shouldn't need to match. This would be the same information. Like if I was, let me go in here. If I was going in here and I called this, I don't know, not test data.
Right, right.
Right. So save that. That's a list. Save that. Save that. Save that. That's
Yep.
fine. And then we
Yep.
call this test data.
Yep.
That shouldn't be an issue. You're saying that it's passing out null because of that?
Well, the input into the mapping, yeah, is null.
This is blank, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Hmm.
I just made it the name match. I'm about to run it again just to see if that actually fixes it. But
And then you're outputting it into some user-defined type, right?
right, right. Let's see. So let's look at the input. Oh yeah, when the names match, it works.
Interesting. Huh. Let's do file date. This is an easy one to go to the item mapping editor. Here's our input. Our input's just going to be the string that we match the singular item, and we'll
And then
build
I
data
say
on this.
build. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. That doesn't sound like it should be happening. If that is breaking your process, I would reach out to support at decisions.com.
Well, it's I mean, we're just still kind of writing it, so it's not a big deal if all of the flows have to output the same name data. That's actually not a big deal.
That's so
Does that work on
strange.
yours?
This looks like it was running fine because that was called not test data inside of here. Not test data is outputting the variable test data,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And then
Look
I
at the
map test data over here, and it mapped value 1 to file name and value 2 to file name. So it is working here.
So yeah, in version 8, I like until I had the names match, it was just there was null going into the list mapping step.
That's so interesting. Yeah, if that becomes a problem, reach out to supportdecisions.com. They can go in your environment and actually see what's going on specifically with your build.
Cool. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, it looks like I found a workaround for now.
Cool, cool. I mean, I'm glad to hear it functions. Definitely.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, sure thing.
Looks like it works in version 9.
Yeah, it's not causing any problem here in 9.14.
Yeah.
All right, next question, DeChaco. Could you show how to create a one-to-many report? What queries would you need? Separate queries for each parent-child, or one query that links both tables? Do you need to make a relationship in decisions linking the one-to-many? Let's talk about that. I'm going to unmute you. Give me a moment. Why can't I find my participants? It keeps going away. Okay, you should be able to talk now. There is a project. Do I have it? Do I have insurance claim? I do. Nice. All right. This may not have any information in it, so this might be blank. Yeah, all right. Here we go. Here we go. This is a one-to-many report right here. Yeah, here we go. So this is displaying over here, right? So all of anything I select in this report is going to filter what's displayed here, and you have your one-to-many result. Is just before I go into how this is made, is this what you're kind of looking for?
Thought I saw somewhere in the travels where you could expand the row on the left and it would show the details underneath it rather than to the right. I thought I saw that someplace.
You could
Like there
click
would be a
this.
plus sign or something next to the 9, and then the main parent would then show the what you see on the right, but right underneath in between 9 and 10. Like it expands.
I get what you're saying. Let's see. Where did you see that?
I don't know, and that's why I'm calling. I can't remember where I saw it.
Let's see
I'm
here.
pretty sure it was decisions. So
I've got two things that come to mind. It's either a custom control, potentially, or it is a hierarchical tree view of a report, which means it's not actually a parent-child relationship. It just means it's grouped twice. Let's see here. And just to confirm, what it would expand below it is a different data structure?
yes, it's a completely separate table, the details table, if you will, and the parent is the first table is the parent, and the second table, which is the details, is the child, and they're linked by a key between the parent and the child, obviously.
Okay.
And I just need a way to show that. So somebody hits print, we can make a PDF or something out of it, or Excel or whatever the case may be. Just has to contain both. And I didn't know. I thought I saw somewhere where you could make a relationship in decisions, and then decisions would know which was the parent, which was the child, which key to use to get between the parent and the child. And then the report could be, even if it was not an expandable report. In other words, like you had one line which showed the parent, then maybe a slight indent, and then 3 lines below that representing the child data. And then it would go back to the parent, and then, maybe another 2 lines representing the child data of the second row. That kind of a thing.
You can make a relationship. You can absolutely do that. The way you do that is actually in the data structure section. When you click data types or integrations, under database integrations is where you can add a relationship integration between two different tables.
So I did that between the parent and the child.
Okay. That relationship is, I'm assuming, on a primary key and a foreign key so that you have
Correct.
access to that. Okay. The way to make that show on a report, just let me go over these reports real quick so you can see how this is configured, and then we can go through this. So on the parent properties, what you are doing is you have one particular one of these values, whatever's going to be the primary key for the additional one, or I guess a foreign key, right? Because the primary key here is going to be what you filter on. When you click on ID, which is going to act as it here, you click this little button that says send data as filter change source. This passes out the information to the URL to be fetched by a child report displayed in some way. So you see how it says RID? I'm going to minimize this so you can actually see what I'm talking about. All right. So let me go back to that dashboard, and you're going to see it up here. So over here, whenever I click on one of these, you'll see this little highlight portion, RID, right?
Yep.
That is the filter that is now being passed out into the URL that this child report can take from in order to filter its results.
It wouldn't just filter by the foreign key?
Well, you have to tell what this report's supposed to filter on. This doesn't have the context that it's supposed to filter on unless you set up a filter.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise it's just displaying a list of results. So if we go under here, edit page data, this is going to take us back to the same list of reports. You see how the filter is called RID, and it has get values from other reports. That's how you pass that in. And this filter can be whatever you want. You can have it equals that. You can have a contains filter that says whenever, it contains this keyword inside of it, then you can pass along all results that match that. but that's what you're doing right here. And this is how it knows to fetch that from the URL as a filter for this report. So it's not displaying all of these at once.
And as far as queries, do you need a separate query for each report?
If they're on different tables, it's just about whatever that report data source is, right? So right here, this is a decisions user-defined type validation issues. If you're querying an external table,
Which I am.
then you just have a query integration set up, and that becomes a report source. I think we covered that not too long ago. Yep, same idea, right? This still works as long as you just set your report source there.
So in the query, you would have the one and the many, and you would get multiple parent records for each child record, right? You know how that when you join two tables together, you're not going to get a display of one to many. You get one query block of information.
That's correct.
And you get repeating rows in the parent, if you will, and then the child has the detail. So that's fine to use that kind of a query. You don't need separate queries, right?
If your query has both the details and the parent, then you only need one query. If the details are stored in a separate table, right, then you're going to need another query.
The parent and the child are two separate tables. So yes, the details are in a separate table.
Then yeah, you'll need two different queries. Right, one against the parent and then one against the child.
I see.
Yep.
And then the relationship is defined, and where is that inputted into this area here?
It's
Or it just
wherever your
knows?
data field is. Your relationship is always on a data field, right? So I'm
Mhm.
passing it in. The RID is filtering on this key right here, which we know has a relationship to the parent.
I see. You did create a relationship then for this.
Well, they got created at runtime. I'll show you the flow that created it. I didn't use a query integration to establish that relationship. You don't actually need it, but let me show you what's going on over here. So where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Close. Okay. This is a great example right here. Okay. So going down this path, these yellow ones. All right. This is creating a request history, which has a client ID and a request code, and it passes out the entity ID. That's its primary key. All right. That entity ID is getting passed into the validation issue as an additional field to be able to use on that filter. You do not have to create a relationship via the database integrations in order to do this. Yep. And if your parent flow already has some sort of key that is matched into that details field, then you can just set up the reports directly on those fields.
All right, so I got to add two data sources. That's really the key here. So I could pick and choose. The relationship that I built already should be able to distinguish between one table and the other as far as which one's the details, which one's the parent, correct?
Right. You'll have two reports, right? One report's going to be the parent report. You click on it, it drops down the multiple child details that are associated with that, right? If you have like three details associated with one parent, then yeah, you pass in that ID into every single one that's created. Here's an example over here where we're using a batch insert. It is inserting multiple validation issues that all have the same request ID passed out here, so that all of these can relate back to this one request history that's displaying on our dashboard over here.
Is there any documentation on one-to-many reports here or video that I could look at to get more information?
I've got a resource project I can send you actually. So let me go back to the hold on. We have a parent-child project that you can automatically look at how it works and download. Here, I'm passing that in the chat right now. It's on our documentation site. So let me dump that in the chat. Where did my chat go? This always happens when I'm doing this. Here we go. Okay, so there's that sort of parent-child report. There's also a that's not what you're looking for. It's opening a child report in a new tab. You're not trying to do it in a new tab. You're just trying to have a drop down, right? And show that.
So this the second thing that you sent?
That's correct. The first one is for the mixed type data repeater. The second one is for creating a parent-child report. I'll look if we have any videos real quick. We might. Give me a moment. We do not have one document how they structure parent child. Oh, right. We have a documentation. Thank you, Jasmine. Forgot about that. Yeah. We have documentation on setting it up as well. That just got dropped in the chat.
I see 2 items in the chat. Am I not seeing the? Oh wait, is that the?
Oh, it got sent to a sorry. It will get dropped in the general chat.
There
Yep,
we go.
there we go. Now it is. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jasmine.
Yep.
All right. So that's done. That's done. Yeah. Yeah, that should give you some documentation on it. If you still need more assistance, please feel free to reach out and we will be glad to talk through that building process. But this should get you started and it's going to give you a working project on how that functions too.
Good. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Okay. Well, I have shown off a new detail as far as 914 is concerned. We have no more Q&As and no more additional attendees. So I think it's time to wrap up this lunch and learn 7 minutes early. Let me close this out. Thank you all very much for attending. We're going to have Jared leading the charge tomorrow, and then I'll be wrapping things up on Thursday. Look forward to seeing you all then.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
Yep. Bye, y'all.
Bye.